Hey guys, what's going on? Hope you're doing okay in this downturn in the market today. I'm going to do a slightly different review. So normally I'm talking about stock alert services where there's some guru that sits there and says, "Hey, I'm buying Meta at such and such," and then you buy and you copy, and that's kind of like usually what I do, right? Like I'm a member of so many of those types, but I'm also a member of other types of services as well. So things like private equity is something that a lot of people don't really talk about. They don't really think about. And part of that is a stigma, right? It's thought of as you have to have a lot of money, a lot of connections in order to be able to do these private equity deals where you're investing in companies pre-IPO, so very, very early on in the seed rounds. And this was true up until 2016. And over the last year, this guy, Chris Graby, working with Weiss. So you guys remember Weiss? I don't know how many of you guys know of them. Weiss ratings. They're fairly well known. I've been a legacy member, so I get all of their services, any new ones that come out as well. And so I'm always like checking this out periodically where I'm like, okay, is there anything cool new out? And then so I looked, and last year they launched this one called Deal Hunters Alliance. And so what I did is I went through the materials and I wrote a quick review of it. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can come and check it out if you're interested in something a little bit different. And the way that they market this service is they say, hey, like if you're pre-IPO, if you can get in like really early in the company's, like at the very start of the company, and it takes off and runs, you could end up making 100,000% or even 1,000,000%, like the early investors in Facebook, Uber, TikTok, all those ones. Now, of course, that's like the best case scenario because, even if you could get 10,000% or 1,000%, you're still doing really, really, really well. And so these are private equity deals, and since 2016, the average person has been able to participate in these deals, which is really cool. And so Chris Graby and Weiss Ratings have developed this service in 2022, which is basically a due diligence service on finding the best possible companies because that's the hard part, right? Like most of the companies are trash and will end up failing miserably. And so that's part of the reason that a lot of people don't get into this style of investing, that they'll stick with penny stocks or trading options on SPY or whatnot because the barrier to entry is much lower. Well, with Deal Hunters Alliance, what I found is you can basically overcome that big barrier to entry where Chris Graby and his team basically go through all these companies and they spend all of their time interviewing the CEO, the CFO, looking at the product, doing all this due diligence into these companies. And then what they do in the service is they basically just send you all this information on the top one every quarter. So there's about four per year that they found worth investing in. And then you get this access, which would normally be pretty hard to get in terms of investing in these early stage companies. And there'll always be companies that you haven't really heard of. Chris Graby himself, I've had a hard time finding much about this guy. In the sales material and stuff, it talks about how he has a portfolio of companies, about 20 of them, worth about $400 million. Now, that's probably the company valuation, not just his part of it, right? It's probably the whole company's. It's still pretty impressive, though. So he admits in the market material and in his course I'm about to show you that he really only has 20 to 25 max positions in these different companies. And the whole idea is that you're getting in really early, you could get like 1,000,000% return if things work out. This is not for the impatient though. It's something that you really have to be really, really patient for because some of these deals take 5 to 10 years to work out. So you have to go through the other seed rounds, right? And then you've got the different investment rounds after that that boost up the price. And that's if things go well. So this is definitely a high risk but extremely high reward venture, especially if you end up getting in on one that becomes like a household name. Then you're really set up. That's where generational wealth is made. You put $1,000 into Facebook before IPOs, and you basically end up with $40 million or something crazy. And then yeah, so it's interesting stuff. It's not something I'm that excited about right now, but I can imagine in the future that I would be. Chris apparently has invested alongside Mark Cuban in Beatbox Beverage Company, and he does seem to be the real deal, but it's very difficult to know because when I log into the Deal Hunters Alliance um, login portal right here, there's a lot of information. So this is the what you get when you sign up. There's a lot of stuff in here, but there's no like this is what my portfolio like has returned on my money, or this is what the last pick, and that's the problem, right? These are long term investments. So even if you find one that they invested in last year, say he recommended a company last year when this program started, it's very difficult to be like, oh yeah, that was a good idea, because we've no idea where that company's at now. It's private. There's no like you can't tell. Like if you put 10,000 in, maybe the company is slowly bleeding money, and people joining the service now have no idea. So there's definitely a negative to this is there's no way to judge the track record. The way you have to approach this is if you have to be like really interested in getting these private equity deals going and want somebody to do all the work for you. And that's what Chris Graby and his team do. And they actually do a really good job of it. I was looking through some of the different emails and things here. And I saw one where, let's see, videos and webinars. So this is what happens is they have like a deal reveal every quarter. So they spend like 3 months finding the best companies and then they interview the founders and things. So in this last quarter, it was Super Sapiens, which is not something I'd ever heard of. But you can see they reveal the deal, and these are videos that are just taking a while to load here. And they interview the founder and CEO here. Then they interview the co-founder and CFO, Jay Robbins here. Then they go into all the different technology and everything here, putting Super Sapiens tech to the test. So he actually tests out the stuff. And then they talk about the deal. So the type of deal and that sort of thing. Here's the last one was Taste of Nature company reviews. So you basically get spoon-fed these in video formats. A bit frustrating that it's not loading here so you can see that. The other cool thing is they give you live events so you can go online and basically speak to the founders of these companies and before you invest so you can really figure them out. It's like full transparency, so it's pretty cool. A big part of it is the alliance dossiers, right? So this is the different dossiers they put together. So take a quick look at Super Sapiens. I don't want to show you much of it though because it is for paying members only. But basically they have this, all the financials and all the plans from the companies in this PDF that you get to go through before you decide to enter the deal or not. Now you don't need a lot of money. I think you could do this with 1,000 or a few thousand, but I think most people that are doing this are going to want to be doing it with like a significant amount of money. This is, something that's potentially can return tens of thousands of percent, but you still want to use more than $100, to do this. So, yeah, it's something that's definitely interesting and it's cool to learn about. My favorite part actually is the course. So they have this private deal masterclass course, and this I think could sell for quite a bit by itself. So we click here. It's a video series course. I think there's like 12 modules. Yeah, like 12 modules. And so this alone is probably worth the purchase if you're interested in learning how to find these private deals and get into it by yourself as well. So you can see here's some of the topics, what you can expect. You're on time to be an early stage investor. Your chance to be a private deal. Yeah, so they talked about the different political things before you make your first deal, the type of deals you can invest in. So these are the types of deals like these Reg CF, Reg A, Reg A plus, all this type of stuff. So these are cool because they are open to everyone regardless of your income or net worth. It used to be that only certain people with certain net worths over $1 million or income of 250,000 plus per year, or they'd be called certified investors, could do these types of deals, but not anymore. Now you can invest in these things as much as you like. Why more startups are trying to crowdfunding, the value behind valuations. This is where I find this stuff boring. Some people love this fundamental analysis and trying to figure out whether a company's all marketing or if there's real value behind it, and really giving it a valuation so you can figure out how much you want to invest. This is just stuff that I find kind of tedious, but I know there's some people out there that maybe really enjoy it. So this could be something worth checking out. Chasing unicorns. Everybody wants a unicorn, right? Where they turn that 10,000 into 40 million. So yeah, different ways, the 5 steps to 5x capital returns. And they always say like 9 out of 10 fail, so you have to have one that really goes up a lot to make up for it. But this could be a cool course. I've done some of it. I got kind of bored through it, but I can see the value of it for people that are interested in learning how to do this. So just checking through the review that I did here, let's see. So yeah, so just to reiterate, you get 4 private equity deals per year, 1 every quarter. They're called alpha round deals. And apparently they can be life-changing successes, but they might take a decade to work, 5 years at least. So let's see. Really what you're paying for is the due diligence and the access that Chris gives. So Chris has a lot of connections. Him and his team do all the work for you. They really vet these companies and then they sort of dish them up on a plate to you as a subscriber. So it's worth a lot. It's definitely worth a lot because to do all this work would be almost impossible if you have other businesses or other job or things in your life. You wouldn't be able to do all this due diligence the way these guys are. So it's definitely worth a lot. It's a valuable product, I'd say, even though it's not quite for me. And yeah, so I'll leave a link in the description. I'll keep updating this article as time goes on. I think if you're interested in this sort of thing, it could be something. The Steel Hunters Alliance could be something that you might want to try. For me, I think I'll stick to options at the moment. Be pretty good. Alright guys, hopefully it's helpful, and I'll talk to you in the next video.